Candidates for the elite military units always go through quite a selection process. To become an American Navy SEAL, you have to go through a week of hell. British Special Forces are tested in the jungle, while candidates for the Russian presidential regiment have their skulls measured.
Slavic appearance, psychological stability, lack of tattoos and bad habits. The requirements for recruits are the most strict. Recruits have perfect health, Slavic appearance.
Slavic appearance, whatever that means, is an official criteria for admission? No. Not to the frontline of the Russian war in Ukraine, but to the Kremlin's presidential regiment. And these are numerous national Russian news on the case of recruitment.
Representatives of the presidential regiment are citizens of Slavic appearance. According to experts, for conscripts with dark skin or a mongoloid eye shape, the likelihood of getting into the presidential regiment is very small.
This is not some kind of an unspoken secret condition. Russians speak quite openly and even proudly about their racism because of everything that makes Russians proud. Racism is the most humane. Here, for example, is a piece of a fresh TV report from the regional television of Tatarstan, where according to Wikipedia, 53% of population are Tatars.
Not everyone can become the face of the army. Strict requirements, athletic build, Slavic looks, no tattoos, and height of at least 175 centimeters.
But hey, it's not that bad. After all, it's only appearance that matters, so if you are from a mixed family and the DNA lottery gave you facial features of a Russian mother and not a Tatar father, there is a chance. But if you have dark skin or a mongoloid eye shape, march to die on the front line. By the way, subscribe to our channel, like our video, and donate to our PayPal and Patreon. If, and only if, you have a Slavic appearance, 6 feet height and 2-meter dick, and if you can turn into a wolf during the full moon. Anyway, you still can be mobilized to die in the trenches trying to occupy some part of Ukraine with your other mobilized Russian friends, but you can't come to Moscow and represent your President Putin in his presidential regiment, because you don't look Slavic enough for Moscow elites.
In his statement, the head of the state noted that the measure was forced, and the military itself insisted on such a decision.
Putin's presidential regiment is a military unit that does not take part in actual war. The regiment of Slavic appearance guards the Kremlin, the so-called eternal memorial fire, and graves of high-profile Russians on Red Square.
Besides, the applicant must have a good hearing in order to hear a whisper from a distance of 6 meters.
That was also not a joke, but a real Kremlin regiment requirement promoted on Russian national TV. Have the citizens of the Russian Empire ever wondered why only Slavic Aryans are accepted into the presidential regiment? Yes, it happened. A Russian military expert answers.
According to the expert, despite the fact that the Russian Federation is a multinational country, it is the Slavs who in the minds of foreigners are the personification of Russia. Therefore, there is nothing surprising in the fact that they are the ones who meet high-ranking foreign guests. So it is accepted, concluded the military observer.
This is a stereotype about Russia that lives in the head of the Pope. Recently, Pope Francis stated that the ethnic Russians who invaded Ukraine are, in principle, normal. They're okay, but those who have
dark skin or a mongoloid eye shape,
they are the real savages.
Pope Francis calls Chechens and Burats the cruelest Russian troops fighting in Ukraine.
Of course, the Vatican has already apologized for this careless statement by the Pope.
In the troop of a special guard, people are selected a little similar to each other, and then they are divided into couples according to their external similarity and height.
There were unique moments when the problem of racism in the presidential regiment was noticed in Russia. For example, one of the Dagestan journalists dared to ask Putin himself about it.
The most important regiment in the country is the Kremlin one, and we have guys who practically don't have Slavic appearance, and there is such an unspoken criteria that only Slavic guys are needed in this regiment. Don't you think this is... No, I don't. Don't you think? No. Well, it seemed to me... It only seems... Well, I guess it only seemed... I'm sorry.
It's like Martin Luther King starts his speech and then delivers a legendary quote. I have a... it seemed to me... sorry, probably on the seemed. After this, the northern states would ask the Confederates to correct the historical mistakes and defeat them. Non-Slavs who have a Russian passport have long been used to enduring domestic and state racism. It is found in Russia more often than toilets in homes.
When you use public transport, for example, you constantly hear fucking migrants, narrow-eyed, churky, and so on.
Just watch another classic example where Moscow's woman explains to the guy of not Slavic appearance that he should leave Moscow because he does not look like a Russian, although he is a Russian citizen.
Did you call me Churka? Why are you going to Moscow? Did you call me Churka? I want my government to ban people like you from entering Moscow. What kind? Citizens of Russia? Which citizens of Russia? I am a citizen of Russia.
Representatives of more than 200 ethnic groups live in Russia, but people of Slavic appearance traditionally treat their fellow non-standard citizens, so to speak, as second-class people. Well, being second-class Nazi impersonators themselves.
What are you detained for? I beat non-Slavs. People with a non-Slavic appearance in a subway car with a group. What were you beating them for? For ethnicity.
In the Russian Empire, xenophobia and racism are a starter pack of a Russian patriot. Without them, you are simply not accepted as Russian, just like with the presidential regiment.
I'm against non-Russian people and for the country to be free. Why? Sick of it. They feel too free in this country.
This mini-interview was recorded on the so-called Russian March, which took place in Russia for many years, a weird rally of Russian nationalists, imperialists and Nazis of all sorts. One of the famous participants of those marches was Alexei Navalny, yes, the same Navalny who is supposed to replace Putin and guide Russia to the right path. Now his associates say that he has realized his mistakes and seems no longer an imperialist and racist. But that's the topic for another video. It may not seem like it, but before, model boys near the Kremlin really formed the image of Russia in the eyes of not very smart foreigners.
When residents of Russia and the world are asked what a Russian soldier looks like, they mostly describe a soldier of the presidential regiment.
Perhaps it was so, once. However, now any adequate person from any corner of the world describes a Russian soldier only as follows: a sadist, a rapist, and a war criminal. And this characteristic does not depend on the color of the skin or the shape of the eyes of a Russian soldier.